In most cases, wealthy men tend to be polygamous. And if not officially married to several women, then they tend to date other women aside the one woman they are married to. And also, many women who are wealthy tend to not want to get married or to be submissive to one specific man. In today's episode, we are going to discuss and try to look at the causes or the reasons behind this thing. My name is Olengo Kwach, and on the bench with me today is Owoth Kaboko, a man who is a campaigner against monogamy. Owoth,
thank you.
How are you, man?
I'm super cool.
You are doing well.
I'm doing well.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
Now, Owoth, what is your stand on the same? That is the topic of the day.
Okay, thank you so much. Kwach, this is a very significant topic. It is in a time where people are in a quagmire. They're asking a number of questions on how the world is moving. People are making different choices, especially on marriage. Personally, I'm a person who campaigns against monogamy. The tender of a man getting married to a single lady, because it's a natural fact that men are polygamous. It is not that men tend to be polygamous, but they are naturally polygamous, and that is the definition of how nature is. You find that in all aspects, when you look through the animal system, the plant waste system, men tend to be polygamous. They get to be people who maybe protect, they take care of. For example, when they get married to a lady or a woman, as the case you're saying, that when they have money, they tend to go for different and many women, many ladies that they can provide for them willingly. That is how they are naturally made, from their heart, from their system, be it reproductive system and everything. In fact, it is something defended in different aspects, in culture, in religion, in spirituality, and all about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine some time back, and one of the main things he told me, and actually when looking at it, I tend to kind of think about it the same way, that men are naturally born providers.
Yeah, true.
So naturally they are providers. So it is defined by nature that a man provides. So when a man doesn't have much wealth, this man tends to only go for one woman who he can comfortably and easily provide for. But when the man gets wealth, and so this man is wealthy, then he tends to now go for other women, because it's being driven by nature that they need to provide for a number of women. So they go for several women. It is either if the religion or the family allows for such, then they officially marry several women. But if the religion and maybe the family doesn't allow that, or even the culture, then they tend to only get officially married to one woman, but they go for different other several women. So they date them, but now chini ya maji, as Waswahili would say it. Yeah. So I don't know what do you think about now women? Because then a woman who doesn't have wealth, in most cases, you realize that they are so submissive. They get married to one man, in as much as, of course, they can also cheat and maybe date several other men. But in most cases, they get married to one man, and that's okay. But then when they get wealth, you realize that they either run away from these marriages, or they divorce, or want to make sure that men now play the roles meant for women.
In accordance to what you're actually speaking about, there is a question, and I underline the word wealth, because it is just revolving around wealth. When a man has wealth, they go for many women, and when they lack, maybe they just prefer to stay with one. And also in the case of women, when they have wealth, they choose to be their own selves. Maybe they can just look for a man or some young guy, gentleman, to satisfy maybe their sexual need or wants. And in the case where they lack wealth, or maybe they don't have, maybe in a way, money or something they can need for themselves, they can get to maybe access or reach different men that they can get these needs that they want. So wealth, number one, as a man, a man should and must have wealth, because you know, as a man you are born and you are created somebody who should look after something, should take care of something. So you should have wealth before even making a choice to go to marry. And wealth should be the first thing that you should be having. And after acquiring this wealth, then you should protect, get women, and maybe extend the wealth, and reach out and maybe satisfy them in all their needs that they have and they want. And for the case of women, it is very bad that, for example, if a woman lacks, they tend to reach out to many men. They need this one, they need that. They get to, maybe religiously they call it immorality, what we call polyandry. Yeah, it is something which is very wrong. It is not accepted in the natural way a woman is created, in the natural way they are made to be, or maybe the definition of life, maybe in religious aspect, spiritual aspect, even in our cultural aspects, when we consider that. Yeah. So polyandry is not right, but polygamy is right. But the question of wealth,
you see,
yeah,
women by nature,
yeah,
they are actually made to receive.
Yeah.
So when they date a man who is not wealthy, they tend to also seek support from different other men, so that they can satisfy their zest of feeling, that is the reception bit of it. And then when they are now wealthy, like they have their own, they are now independent, then they feel like they should not be submissive to any man. So instead they either divorce, if at all they are married, they divorce and therefore they stand alone in their own lives, or if at all they are married, then it is now the man they want to play the roles that are meant for women. And if the man doesn't play those roles, if the man insists that they play the roles that are meant for women, then they take it as if this man is mistreating them.
So the question that comes in is women maybe engaging with wealth. Number one, the ancient people in their wisdom, they preferred that a woman should not have wealth. The wealth that they have should be belonging to a man. They should be under a submission to some man, maybe as a father or as a husband. So they should always be under some submission. That you find even in many aspects, in cultural ways, for example, in our traditional, how we used to do it. For example, when it gets to inheritance, it is only the man or the boys who are allowed to get to inherit. Women were not to have wealth. They were not meant to. Maybe subdued to some wealth or something like that. So it is wrong, number one, because if a woman has wealth in one way or the other, they should be under submission to some man, either father or parent or something else. But them just having some possessions for themselves under no jurisdiction, under no person, it is what brings the problem, because it is not naturally meant for them.
So looking at this aspect traditionally, in the African traditional setup, actually polygamy was something very normal. And actually you would even realize that you'd get a woman who is married to a man, even proposing to this man that I have a younger sister, or I have a younger cousin who can also make a good wife. Or this woman can make sure that the cousin she wants to be married to her husband comes to visit in most occasions. So this woman comes frequently. And as a result, the man proposes and you realize that this man marries this woman. And so you'd realize that different women from the same family are married to one man, or if not that same man, but then brothers or cousins from within the same family. So it was so normal, and you'd even get a man marry 10 wives or 8 wives, and the number or the wealth was actually measured by the number of women you get married to as a man. But then in the current state, with the coming of Christianity in Africa, you realize that many women tend to believe that marriage should only have one man and one woman. And also many men actually also believe that a marriage should that be of one man and one woman. So does it mean that Christianity has clearly managed to do away with our culture, or what is it? What is happening?
Oh, that is what many people take it to be. But before getting to that point, I am an African personally, yeah, and I defend my Africanness because I never chose to be an African. I was born one, yeah. So it is something that I inherit from my ancestry. For example, this is how it works. When you are a man, yeah, you are always connected to your line of ancestry. Yeah, that for example, you need to fill the earth, as maybe the religious people say. You needed to get some women to continue the line of your ancestry, other generations to come. Yeah, so you are connected to that, the gene system. You know, your parents or your grandparents, they died, but the genes still remain in you. So you are an extension, for example, of the past, of the people that existed, and the future, that maybe the future generations of the people who are to live. You get that point? So in the religious aspect, for example, when I get to Christianity specifically, many people corrupt this thing from the Bible. They say it is rightful, maybe for, it is not right for man to engage in polygamy, to have many women. That should not be the case. This is a Western culture. It was not even part of our culture. It was part of the Western culture. For example, the Europeans or maybe the missionaries who brought Christianity into place. It is not. In fact, it is not part of the Bible itself. You find, number one, God of the Bible, of the scriptures, I believe that God himself is polygamous. Yeah, because this is how nature works. When God gets in one with the soil, it produces maybe plants from the ground. When God gets into one with maybe water, it produces this and that. When God gets into one, for example, when he comes to man, he gets into man, for example, maybe in the case of Jesus Christ, for example, he gets to Mary, yeah, and produces a child, yeah. So God works in different ways, maybe in the vast areas how nature is designed. Again, for example, a man in the Bible, for example, when the time of creation, God creates man, puts in the Garden of Eden, the first thing that he gave him the land, he told him to till it, maybe they name the animals, and later gets him into sleep, then gives him a helper as a woman. And it answers the question that we were speaking about at first. You find that man came into oneness with wealth first, and then God gives man a helper to extend the generations of the world, to fill the earth, as God said it. And in fact, in the Old Testament of the Bible, you find that all the friends of God, they were all polygamous. Yeah. In fact, in the case of David, you find that God tells David after he did what he did with Uriah's wife, which was not right before God. Yeah, you find that God tells him that I've given you many wives, many women for yourselves. And why again do this? So God knew that it was right for him, that for him to get satisfied according to how he made him, that he needed to have many of them. Yeah, and the case you are also speaking about the traditional way, you find the case of Abraham. What does happen? That maybe Sarah herself maybe lives with Abraham. They are not maybe successful in getting a son or maybe a child, and they uses maybe, I don't know, the house help that they had. They use it hard first to produce a son for them, yeah, and it was something that was just okay with Sarah. It was just okay with Abraham. It was normal, and it is just fulfilling the nature of man. They used to understand this is how a man is, this is how a woman is, and this is what they are meant to do. Even the case of the Bible itself. When you look through the Bible, there is not even one point where the Bible is against polygamy. Yeah, you find that the Bible just defends this one. You find the friends of God, people who are related to God, they are all polygamous. Yeah, in fact, it is a mistake. For example, when we get to the New Testament, the Samaritan woman who Jesus was speaking to, that she had engaged with a number of husbands. Yeah, so Jesus was revealing to her all these facts and truths, and she felt, I am guilty, I've done this, and this person knows about me. Yeah, you find that case. So even in the Bible itself, we find polyandry is not getting into any place. It is not appearing. Yeah, it is not part of the script. But polygamy is something normalized in the Bible. Yeah, so it is something very natural in different aspects. It is just an ideology that people are bringing about. Maybe after being corrupted from the Western culture, they feel maybe doing it the Western way is the perfect line. It is just a misunderstanding or miscorruption of the mind that people are engaging in. But it is not the case. Personally, I am a campaigner against polyandry, and I campaign and I promote polygamy.
Okay.
That as a man you need to have more than one wife. Yeah,
Okay,
that is
okay.
how you are naturally made.
Yeah,
that is what can sustain you as a person.
Because of time, I'd want you to just tell our audience something. Like talk to the women and talk to the men in the perspective of youth, now that you are a youth, and also in the perspective of your belief as a person, what you campaign for. Just talk to them briefly. I'll give you 2 minutes maximum.
Let's get to statistics number one. Statistics, you find that in most of our families, we tend to have more ladies. We tend to have, maybe our parents give birth to more ladies as compared to boys. That is how it works out. That is how the circle goes. So ask yourself this question, that who should these ladies be married to? It is a man, a single man or a boy who should get a number of them, for the nature of maybe how the natural system works, that it can be built in togetherness. As a boy or as a young man, it is not that now you should be running to date a number of women. Do what you must understand, marriage is all about responsibility. You are taking a responsibility, and also you are extending the past generations into a new system of generation. So you are extending the existence of humanity on earth. So it is not about just running to get married. You should first contain yourself, get wealth, so that you can protect, you can ensure that nature works the way it should be defined. That when you get a woman, you get engaged with them, you can protect them, take care of them in accordance to our tradition. Maybe marriage to many women was associated to having wealth, having respect. You are a leader, you can control, and you can, maybe when pressure comes, you have a big family, you have something extended, so it earns you respect. So even today, maybe in our lives today, polygamy is very right, and it is something that as a man you should always go for. When you go for somebody else, maybe wives, or maybe somebody you intrude into some other person's marriage, it is not right. For that case, it's not right. So you just get some virgins for yourself, you get married to them, you protect them, you proceed with the life, and that is what God loves. God personally is polygamous. He promotes polygamy. He loves them that are polygamous, for example. And that is how it works. You find that God has produced many creations on earth. So you also, you have your genes, so you can extend it unto the world. They can also help you subdue the world. So
otherwise, those who believe otherwise should also tell us what they believe and why they believe so. To our able audience, we love you so much. From where you come from, your culture, what does it dictate when it comes to the topic we've just discussed? Your religion, your belief, your faith, what does it dictate? And even you as a person, what are your views and opinions? Leave us your comments, leave us your views, and we'll be grateful. We'll discuss them. And even if you have a specific thing you'd want us to discuss about this or even something else, just leave your comment and we'll come for it. This is the Satumamba Productions. My name is Olengo Kwach.